Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Freshly Pressed. Today we have with you Damien and Kenneth, the co creators of Try Not to Die, Issue 1. Before we kick off, I would like to do acknowledgement of the country because we're in Australia. We like to acknowledge our Aboriginal country. Uh, we would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Kabragal clan of Darug Nation, and pay our respects to elders past and present. Um, cool. Damien and Kenneth, how how did you get into comics, and let us tell us a bit about your history.
Yeah.
Kenneth, you can start.
All right, I'll go first. I think my first comic might have been like ever might have been the first issue of Mark Waid and Mike Ringo's Fantastic Four. I think that like 99-cent issue. I my only real evidence beside like scant memories is just that I think I still do have a copy of it, and like the cover's gone. Like an ad for like Daredevil, like a hot toy or whatever of Daredevil's cut out. It's just truly would make anyone who collects comics terrified and just a nightmare for them. But I think that was my very first comic. But yeah, I feel like I had a very fun. Like I was in a very fun golden age of like superhero animation, like Justice League, Justice League Unlimited, like Teen Titans. I was lucky enough to like that was the cartoons that I was growing up with. So and like Static Shock was a huge one. And I remember like around middle school or high school, I think it was just before the New 52, but I remember I saw a comic where Static was on the Teen Titans, and I'm like just being the perfect age for that comic. I don't think that run was. I don't remember it that well, so I don't know how well remembered it is. But I was like, Static on the Teen Titans. This is it. This is it. And so that's what got me on the monthly comics train. That lineup didn't last long. Then I rode the wave of the New 52, and I've been in the world of comics ever since.
That's awesome. What about you, Damien?
Yeah. So my brother and my dad have always been into comics. My oldest brother, he's like 41 now, but he I remember him having the like the original Image, Youngblood, and Savage Dragon type things. And he would have the Jim Lee X Men, and I remember he had an X Men comic with like the hologram card that was on the cover. So he was really into comics, and he just liked to draw. He wasn't super into the story. He just really wanted to learn how to draw. But that kind of stuck with me. My dad was a big comic book fan in the '70s. He would always bring me to the comic book store like every weekend when I was maybe in second and third grade. I remember my first comic that was really mine, not the Image stuff that my brother had, but the one that was really mine was not a Marvel Girl, a Spider Girl. It was Mayday Parker. It was like the M2 imprint that we got from a gas station. And then from there, I mean, it's just I've been into superheroes and comics. I really got into it around the same time Kenneth did. I think I'm a little bit older than Kenneth, but I remember around like 2008 with Secret Invasion. Secret Invasion actually comes out this week, but I remember Secret Invasion being really into Secret Invasion and Dark Reign. And then just like Kenneth, I like a few years later, I got really when I got my own job and I was able to afford my own comics or buy my own comics. I remember hitting that New 52 wave too. And since then, it's my collection has grown. Oh, you can actually look behind me a little bit. You can see my collection
Yep.
has grown over the
Wow.
decade, and that's just a few of them. But yeah, it started off with more superheroes, and as I got a little bit older, I started to appreciate the indie titles and the indie publishers a lot more, and that's really where most of my money is spent now. But I still read Marvel and DC and everything. But a lot of my comics that I read now are those indie titles.
Nice, nice. Yeah, because I had a similar thing. Like I loved the original, like Jim Lee and Chris Claremont run of X-Men.
Mhm.
And also around that time, X-Men cartoons were actually pretty popular on
Yes.
TV as well.
Now we
So
hear that the X-Men Sting every time there's a cameo in the Marvel movies. They do that every time, man. It's
Yeah,
so iconic.
yeah,
It's so iconic.
yeah, exactly. And I think around that time was Batman the animated series as well, right? So yeah, both of them were like, yeah, just got me into comics way too much. Yeah.
That's
Nice,
all.
nice. That's awesome. Yeah. Tell us a bit about Try Not to Die, and what's the comic book about? Give us a pitch.
Uh, okay. Try Not to Die is and I got this down pat. I haven't talked to Kenneth since I was at Heroes Con, but I will say, Kenneth, I had the big banner for Try Not to Die behind me. I had
Hmm.
nothing but Worlds Away books, but everyone was so interested in World Try Not to Die. I
Oh, that's
got most
awesome.
questions from Try Not to Die. But Try
Awesome.
Not to Die is a horror comic. It's a very meta. It's very self aware horror comic. Um, but in a nutshell, it asks the questions: what if victims from your favorite horror movies had a second chance to change their fate? So what it is we described it as Squid Game meets Cabin in the Woods. If any of you listeners have ever watched either of those, but characters, and I put that in quotation marks because they're not truly the same characters from Scream. They're not truly the same characters from Halloween or Shaun of the Dead. They're just analogs, but they're transported, abducted, and forced to participate in a competition that recreates each other's killers and monsters, and they're competing against each other. They're competing with each other, and really the biggest rule that they have to follow is what the title says: is try not to die. And we try to pull in many different characters, many different influences, so so we have different kind of subgenres that we hit. Even in issue one, there's like so many subgenres of horror that we hit. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's what it is. It's really I think it's really unique and really fun.
Nice, nice. Do you want to add anything to that, Kenneth?
No, Damien had it like right on the money. Like again, I know from pitching it at Heroes Con, I'm sure it's like you've got it like down.
Man, listen, I said the same thing so many times, but it was all fun. I will
Yeah.
say, Kenneth, that everyone, because the banner that I had behind me at Heroes Con was pretty much that cover. And everyone that stopped by, they said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! What is this? What is this?"
Oh,
I was like, "Yeah,
yay!
try not to
That
die,"
cover
but
looks epic.
it does. And I
Yeah.
didn't have a book with me, but I showed as many people as I could the little preview at the back of issue 3 of Worlds Away, and I handed out as many flyers as I could. But everyone, I got more interest in Try Not to Die than my actual other comic book that I had copies of. And I mean, it's just, I attribute that to Kenneth's art. He's super talented. His art is very unique. Um, but I mean, if you just look at the cover, you can see why.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I hope if I get on the con circuit, I will definitely choose that that cover
You should
for.
actually
No.
like come down next year. I'll pay for the third. I'll pay for that seat, and we can just just chill and sell as many books as we can next year. Come on up to Charlotte, man.
Yeah, it's not far from me. So yeah, hey, plans being made live. Get
That's
it all here,
amazing.
folks.
I love this cover because, and not just this cover, the whole artwork that's shared in the campaign page. I love how ambient it is, how the whole lighting and the neons and all this, like it just gives you a very very different feel to the book, which I absolutely love. I think
Thank you.
the thing with indie comics is you have everyone you have to start trying to stand apart from the crowd, and that's what takes you on these different directions, right? Like, yeah. So what was your inspiration behind some of the artwork, Kenneth?
Yeah, I guess it's interesting that you say in terms of the cover. I think that's a good point. Like I know Damien and I were talking about about where we wanted to go with the covers and like how to make them stand out. And I think we took inspiration from sort of like these like classic runs like Wicked and the Divine and Homesick Pilots, where those covers are just so striking and iconic and colorful and everything. And like they're uniform in a way where you see like issue 45 of one of them and you're like, okay, that's from this book with this artist. And I think that's really something that we kind of wanted to draw on and we'll, continue to draw on for the remainder of this book's covers. But yeah, I remember I had a whole Pinterest board of everything just to sort of nail down. I think the concept of it is haunted VHS tape is kind of the vibe we're going for with these covers. And yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. But yeah, that sort of continues into the book too, and sort of keeping sort of that atmosphere and tone, and a lot. The big uh, marquee word for the interiors is texture. I'm working with a lot of different screen tone, just like different various forms of getting a sense of like feel to the actual page of the book, alongside like the colors and stuff that I usually end up working with in my other work.
Nice, nice. No, that definitely shows in some of the pages as well. And yeah, did you also work on the lettering and that side of things as well?
Oh no, that's Reed from Worlds Away. I remember. I think, uh, yeah, Damien thought about, because I've done lettering on my own in the past, but I don't remember if Damien brought it up or I brought it up. I'm like, Reed's pretty great on like I reading Worlds Away. I was like, this letter is really like incredible and like is like a hidden MVP in that book. So I was like, is Reed free? And yeah, I'm glad that I get to have Reed's letters on my pages. It's really fun.
No, they're really really good. And I think I was talking to somebody about this, having minimal dialogue in some of, like, in this page, and in some of the panels there are no dialogues, and in some of them they are so minimal, just art doing the talking with the scenery and a bit of lettering. I think that kind of like that's the kind of stuff I really love. You know, do you have any thoughts about that? Like having like stripped down and minimal dialogue, and uh,
I I do want to shout out Kenneth because when he read the script, like this is really like a co-creation. Like, I technically wrote the script, and technically Kenneth is the artist, but we really work together. It's really like kind of like a shared vision on this. And I can attribute some of that to Kenneth because I remember when I sent him the script, he was kind of like editing it as he went along. Before he even started drawing it, he said, "Hey, maybe we should change this piece of dialogue to this, or maybe we can get rid of this thing altogether." And
mm,
because I'm guilty of it, I can get a little wordy sometimes. But Kenneth, he has an eye for that. He's even in the past, he's like critique books. He's a critic, and he contributes to websites, and like just his notes that he gave me about some of the dialogue, because we changed a lot of stuff from the initial time that I pitched it to him. The initial script, it changed so much just by having Kenneth's eyes on it, and that includes the dialogue, because it's such a luxury to have Kenneth as the artist, because you know like he can tell the story with just um, the faces that he puts on the characters. He can tell
yep.
the story, what they're feeling, without having to just use that running dialogue in whatever character's head. But yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that.
Oh, thank you. But also, I want to shout out Damien because you've shouted me out a lot, but I'm also going to shout you out. Is that yeah? This the amount of action that you're able to get across even without dialogue is really like it's so impressive. Just as someone who has written my own scripts before as well. Just I was looking back through a script that I'm hoping to work on a little bit more, but it's so many words. So Damien does a lot of impressive work in terms of like again, there's a silent kind of scene where a character is exploring a space later on in the book, and I'm just so impressed of like how much comes across in just the description of the page and not necessarily in the words. And it's just sort of I'm just really excited to draw that page because there's so much motion and just sort of progress through the scene without having to say many words. And I think that that's again, it's harder than it looks, and Damien makes it look really easy.
Thank you.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So yeah, maybe slight segue. What's the process like when you both work on like writing and then development and what goes into making say a page or the book, you know?
Um,
Um, Initially, I kind of touched on it earlier, but the story has changed so much since I initially talked to Kenneth about it, and it's constantly changing. We kind of the script uh, kind of changes from when I gave it to Kenneth because he has so many great ideas that like I say, absolutely go for it. And there's so many great things that from his brain that he's incorporated to the story. And I think so far, we only have one issue, or less than an issue really in the can. I think, but I just think being fluid has really worked for us. Just not being tied down to one idea,
Mm,
being able to say, "Hey, yeah, that is a great idea. Let's change this um, piece of dialogue to something even more engaging, even more self-referential." Because Kenneth has the mind of that. He has the ability to do that.
awesome. Do you guys like plan your arcs, like character arcs in advance though?
yeah, we have. There's an outline. I think that Damien had early on. That I think we used that as a basis for this first issue, and we kind of played with him that, and we had a conversation super early on just like different story ideas and stuff, sort of that we can insert characters into this arc and how they might play things. So again, there's a lot. We have an arc, and I think we have general ideas of where each issue is going to go. But I think there's still a lot to play once we sit down and like, all right, issue 2, let's go. But yeah, I've been thinking in my head. Like, at least we know which monsters and which movies we're riffing on next.
Nice, nice. Cool. So yeah, this is one of my favorite questions to ask everyone. I know this book already has a few references. So what are each of yours like top five pop culture like say movies or TV
Mm,
shows and things like that influences as I may say or favorite things favorite pop culture things.
that's a
Um,
hard question.
yeah, there's some
Mm,
obvious references or obvious influences like Scream, like Halloween, some other stuff that I don't want to spoil. There's some obvious stuff like that. Um, but some stuff that, the kind of story that I want to tell, um, that kind of influenced me, specifically more in the horror genre, is things like Something Is Killing the Children, things like Lock and Key, uh, even or movies that horror movies that I grew up with, like The Ring. That's not so much jump scares, but more just atmosphere, and just being
Mm,
unsettling and creepy. Things
yeah.
like Jeepers Creepers, so stuff like that. The obvious references, the obvious influences are like Scream and Halloween, and but there's some other stuff that I wanted to kind of incorporate more subtly as well.
Mm, mm,
mm. I'm trying to hit the Venn diagram of general inspirations versus inspirations for this book. And so far I have three. Well, okay, I think I mentioned some conversation earlier, but I think Chainsaw Man is a little bit of an inspiration for this book because I think that was what I was reading when I designed some of the characters.
mm,
And I think that book does comedy and horror and just sheer existential terror just so well. It has the balance right on the head. And I don't know if we go to quite the levels of absurdity as that book, but definitely just some of the humor and like tongue in cheekness of that book I like sort of keeping in mind. Like I think the student, I think I referenced Kobeni from that book a little bit, just having just her natural state being the most terrifying day of her life. I think that's just a fun well to draw from. Uh, yeah, I think a weird touchstone for me that I think shows up in my art is maybe the Joel Schumacher Batman movies, just the neon drenched goth vibes from those movies. I every time I do a piece of art that just for some reason is pink and just neon blue, I'm just like, yeah, that movie is stuck, really stuck in there. So I
That's
guess
hilarious.
yeah, it's really, I feel like that's the secret key to everything I've ever worked on is just like, if you've seen like Batman and Robin, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. That's it. You're done. Uh, but yeah, I think those three. I'm trying to think of two more just to round up the five. But yeah, I think again the Scooby Doo movies. Again, I'm just really a specific era of movies I watched as a kid. Uh, I don't know necessarily that impacts my visual style, but you know those are cinematic classics in my opinion. Um, and yeah, I'm trying. I'm lacking on a fifth.
I will
Wicked and the
say,
Divine
Kenneth,
probably.
that I'll say that one last one again.
I think Wicked and the Divine probably is another influence,
Okay.
but I haven't reread it in a
Mm,
while.
I
yeah.
will say, like, I can absolutely see all of those things in your art, and that was one of the things that, like, that drew me, like, that made me want to, like, work with you because, like, and I say it every interview that we do, but one of the things that he does so well, his art is so unique, but it's the colors that really like sell it. His inks are incredible, but when it all comes together with these colors,
Mm,
especially like even the first couple of pages to where the student is creeping down the cabin. It's such a. I mean, it's like it's a horror book, but these colors are so like neon, and so
yeah.
it's so eye popping. But I mean, I don't know how he does it. He's just super talented guy I'm working with right now.
The first
One.
barrier. Sorry, I was gonna say
Sorry,
that.
go for it.
I was gonna say the first barrier to learning that was learning CMYK versus RBG. That was a brutal learning curve on one of an early short and something where I had finished coloring it. It was so neon, so colorful, and then I was like, "Oh, I have to convert this to CMYK." Oh no, just everything was gone. So that was the first step to discovering this coloring style is learning about CMYK.
That was so amazing. But truly, I 100% agree with Damien. Your coloring and art is epic.
Thank you,
It
thank you.
yeah. And all the references you just said do resonate, and I can actually see they are there. I don't know if did you in the last week have you seen some of the threads on Twitter around like Scooby Doo finishing what 20 years or so or
Yeah,
25
21
years?
years, I think.
21 years, yeah, 21 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, the movies.
it's wild. Yeah, I bookmarked a thread just to leisurely scroll through. But yeah, there was one where they showed the animated opening of it, and I had it on VHS. Again, I had that distinct like era where it was just like so obsessed with Scooby Doo. And yeah, I remember that they had like an animated opening with like the like from the like 2002 movie where it was like animated Freddie Prinze Jr. as Fred from the like Hanna Barbera. It was I saw a clip of that and it unlocked just a core memory of mine, which was it was so wild.
But that movie, the casting was spot on. I mean, like it was done so well. I wish they
Wasn't
had
that?
gone with. Sorry, you were saying, David?
Oh no, go ahead. Finish, please.
No, no, no. I was just saying, like the casting was so spot on, and I think
Uh,
what they were trying to do with the whole movie was they were trying to go for like a more R-rated kind of theme, which is more
mhm.
adult focused. But
Mhm.
yeah, I
I
think
was
studio watered it down a fair bit.
Yeah, but
I was
the
gonna say
tone. Yeah, sorry.
that's James Gunn, isn't it?
Yeah, he
Wasn't
wrote it. Yeah,
Who
head
wrote it?
of
Okay, I thought he
head of
directed it.
DC. Yeah, I think he just wrote it, but yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's the funny of like that R-rated pitch versus like watering it down just has this such a tone that I feel like is just like kind of in retrospect perfect, where it's just sort of like, yeah, we know what we're doing, but I don't know. It again, it makes it I feel like timeless in a way where it's just like this is fun, and I feel like the Barbie movie is going to be the successor to that. In I can trace the cinematic lineage of Barbie to the Scooby Doo movie, and if you want to hear me talk more about it, just at me on Twitter, and I'll just rant at you.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo has always been that, like slightly edgy kind of kids show. Even like it has subtle hints on like adulthood. For example, if you see Scooby snacks are like kind of like a misnomer for say weed,
Mhm.
they are kind of like a substitute for that. So yeah, it is one of those shows that's written by adults with adult themes, but for kids. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to start another tangent on Scooby Doo Mystery Inc. and I can't get started. We'll be here all night. But again, a perfect Scooby Doo cartoon.
Absolutely. No, like yeah, it was one of my favorite things growing up as well, and my daughter loves it as well. Partly because I showed it to her and she loved it. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, uh, cool. I think moving on from that, like what's in store for like near future? What are like some of the projects that both of you are planning, like different ones or more collaborations in future?
Um, really, right now, I'm focused on try not to die. I'm really confident in this story. I'm really confident in and I'm gonna set myself up for some heartbreak. But I'm really confident in this book that we have. And just the other day, a couple days ago, we actually got funded. So this is actually happening now. So Kenneth is can't wait, but he's gonna eventually be putting pen to paper for the rest of the pages. And hopefully when we get that started, I'm really gonna be started with issue two. You know, just like we were saying, we're probably gonna get a first draft of a script and then have Kenneth read through it, and then whatever we need to change to make it the best story possible, we'll make it the best story possible. I'm really focusing on that. And I have a few other things that I can't talk about right now, but I'm really, really excited about Kenneth in my book.
Yeah, ditto over here. I'm excited to get started on the pages now that we are fully funded. Yeah, I'm excited. I've got thumbnails down, and I'm ready to make those into fully created pages. And yeah, that's I think that's the main focus right now. There's a couple projects that I'm thinking I'm now that I've gone through the crowdfunding process, I'm feeling a bit more up about. It. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I could turn this into something. Having weathered the not the storm, I guess, but it's a positive storm, I guess, of this first campaign, and so yeah, maybe there'll be more from me later on.
It does get intense a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Especially like the month that campaign's on. That month is just like it's just go time.
Mhm.
yeah. We were stuck at the like $500 until the goal for like a week, and it was just sort of
Yes.
like it's like, come on, can we just that last. Yeah, I don't know. It's something about again. We had very good start, and it was like such again. It's classic crowdfunding things, but just to experience firsthand, it's like we were almost there. We're almost there.
it's it's very taxing. And some people do it like I was talking to Pat Shand. He does like crazy numbers on Kickstarter, but I was talking to him over the weekend, but he does it. He said he told me he has a Kickstarter every month this year, and I'm like,
Wow,
Wow,
but
that's intense.
but yeah, I
that has to
mean
be a full time
it's a
job.
yeah, it's an experience. And every time I've done it, I learned something new. But I'm glad I had Kenneth on this go around with me.
Yeah, it was awesome to tag team the page and everything.
That's amazing. Also, I think a lot of work starts after you're done with the campaign. Like just
Mm.
delivering it and sending out those mailers, packing everything.
Oh yeah, that
That's
takes too. Whew.
doing one every month is one hell of an effort.
Yeah. Oh my god. That again. Yeah. I can't even think about that. That's wild.
Yeah, even as a full-time job, it's hard. So yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, do you have any good creative rewards in this? Do you want to talk about a bit about the rewards?
Yeah, we got a lot of great basic stuff. Sort of, we got the digital Try Not to Die. We have a little bit of an upgraded digital version with some behind the scenes goodies. You might see the original version of Try Not to Die from the secret origin of the idea, which I'm forcing Damien to put in the behind the scenes packet. Uh, yeah, and then we've got some physical. We've got a physical issue. We've got one where you can get both covers. We've got two types of get to know us bundles. One where you get the physical issue, and then a PDF file of Damien's work, World's Way 1 through 3, a comic from me, and I believe a comic from Reed, our letterer. And we've got for the physical bundle of that, where you get Worlds Away 1 through 3 in your hand to hold, as well as Try Not to Die, and also that digital bundle. And yeah, we even have a retailer pack too. If you want to, if you have an LCS that you're like, I would love to see this book end, you've got 5 days to let them know.
Nice, nice. That's amazing. Good stuff, mate. This is good stuff. We're coming to time, but thanks so much for your time, both of you. I really appreciate it, and it looks like a great campaign. I usually wait till the last day to fund anything, but because I want to be the backer who always got your back, always come at the end. Just make it count. I will be sure to back this campaign as well, and
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
No, it's great having you both. You're lovely people, and I wish you all the luck in this campaign and going forward as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.